Yeah.
But wanted to just, I'm glad you take the time to do this with us, man. This is cool. You're one of the first people I think I followed on TikTok when I jumped on there in January.
Oh, really? Oh, nice. Right on.
I don't know if it's because I kind of jumped in and I like art. So I started following some art people. And I think, how long have you been on there?
Only since September. So
Okay.
I got in, kind of like later than a lot of people, but, it really blew up after the first of the year. And actually, I think it's even blown up even more since everybody's been hunkered down, right? So
yes, I agree. We started around December, and it's grown huge over the last couple of months because everybody has nothing really else to do to take up their time. And what is a great time suck? TikTok.
Gosh, it is.
Right.
It's almost like you have to set boundaries.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy too, because I mean, like, you'll go through these waves of like, especially like you can get like getting found by people, and even just today was weird. Like I've been getting like maybe a couple dozen people follow me during the week or in a day, but today, like, I don't know what I did. I have no idea what I did, but all of a sudden I got like 300 or 400 new followers like that. Like,
yeah,
where'd y'all come from? Right?
It seems like that happens for me too. It's just like it'll just keep growing and growing, and then I'll hit like a lull. It's really strange how it works. I agree. Yeah.
Well, they couldn't even get me on at first. And then I did like 3 TikToks, and my 4th one went crazy, and it did what you're saying, just a ton of people. I mean, I think done so many videos, and I think all of my followers and likes are in like 6 of them, like 200 and some. It's crazy how some of them will blow up. But what you can probably speak to, because I really like the way you're very creative in the way you intertwine your business in your life. Like it's seamless, it's a part of you, where a lot of people, it's kind of wanky in a way.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you're forcing in the pitch, which yours isn't even a pitch. I mean, yours is you're just letting your passion for something bleed into your social media.
Yeah. Well, and it is really, by the way, is this recording right now? Are we recording?
Yeah, we're recording.
Okay, good. All right.
Yeah,
just want to make sure it was like save the gold for the real conversation.
No, I started pretty much right away. Then I edit out until we can.
Right on.
We're good.
So, I went into it. I've been doing different social media outlets for a while, and I jumped into pretty much everywhere. But I'm one of those people, except for the only place that I jumped in super early and got in early was Twitter, and then I just kind of fell out of love with that one, and so I didn't really spend enough time. Like I should be much more popular on Twitter because of my timeline there, but I'm not, right? And whatever, that is what it is. But I've jumped into all these different platforms, but I never really hit them the right way. And, I always do my due diligence, but, it's like the minute you start to feel like you've got a handle on something, they go and they mess with the algorithm and it changes, right?
Yes.
Instagram is a perfect example. It's just like I love Instagram, or at least I used to love Instagram, and it just like, and then Facebook just messing with it the last, couple of years, 18 months, 2 years now. And so it's impossible to get found organically anymore. But the only way I get found there organically is actually I tell people on my TikToks, go find me on Instagram. And so all these people from TikTok come and follow me on Instagram. Like that's where I'm growing. But TikTok is a different animal, and it's early, early onset. And, we weren't one of the first generation people. We're not the Charlie DeMillos or the different people. They've got like millions and millions of followers, but I think that we're still at the early precipice of it. And when I went into it, and I said, okay, I'm going to make sure that I take full advantage of this and use the platform for, number one, how it's meant to be used, right? Not like you said, Jeff, I'm not coming in here to just pitch. Like I'm in here to kind of show my humanity a little bit. I'm showing who I am as an artist, as a person, having a little fun with it, understanding that the people that might be watching are significantly younger than me, just being okay with, making a fool out of myself once in a while, right? Playing the
Right.
game, so to speak, right? Just being okay with that. And there's so many of my artist friends who are like, I don't get it. I don't understand it. It's like, it's because you're old. Because you're old up here, right?
Mentally, yes.
Mentally, you're just old, right? And just like, and they want to, they're looking to game the system and all this stuff. And I'm just like, just relax and go have a good time and share what you know and share the work that you're doing, and it's just like, I don't know. I guess I just trying to be as true to myself and true to the art as possible and, have a good time in the meantime.
That's kind of what happened to me because I'm serious on every other platform most of the time. And just in the business I'm in, consulting and insurance, and just not a really, people see me as serious when I'm out and I got a suit on and I'm teaching people or doing sales coaching. And then they find me on here and they don't believe it's me almost, they're like, you don't act like that's not you. So it's kind of freeing. And I've never been able to do that, but this year it's been nice to do that. And what I've been able to teach kind of the people that say we can't do social media in the insurance business or for this type of business, I said, social media, it's you sell you. And that's what I've been preaching is be yourself. You'll get your crowd and they'll want to know what you do. They'll want to know who you are and they'll buy from you. But you got to build that audience, which you're doing. Ange is doing because she's got a personal training business and she got in just to have fun and cut loose. And now she's grown her business from TikTok organically, even more so like you have.
Yeah. It's really, what I found is that that freedom and that comfort level, that people have with this, especially when you go on, you check into the app for the first time and you start seeing that some of the most popular people are these you'll see, this young teenage girl dancing, right? And then the next person will be like a couple of blue collar dudes who fill potholes, right? In Tennessee or whatever. And they're like some of the most popular guys on there. It's like truck drivers and, and iron workers and all the, artists and, all kinds, all walks of life. And so you just, I don't know, it's just equal opportunity there and, a good place for people to just kind of shuck take off the suit and tie before they walk in the room and have a good time and start to resonate with people. And as soon as you start to resonate with people on a human level, right, it's like then people are fully invested. They get invested right out of the gate, right? That whole know, like, and trust right out of the gate, right? And if they can relate to you on that level, then next thing you know, they're buying your stuff. I mean, I've sold more stuff through TikTok to people on TikTok than I ever did on Instagram, and that's in the last 6-8 months. More than I've been than I've sold on TikTok. I mean, I've sold more on TikTok than I did on Instagram over the last 8-9 years.
Right. I find that too. I go, and like I said, when I joined TikTok, it wasn't the intention to do anything really fitness related on TikTok. It was kind of my outlet to get away from talking fitness, away from talking exercise, and show my goofy fun side. But then when I got over here to TikTok, I was like, oh my gosh, this platform is so huge. I've got to sprinkle a little bit of that in there. So I go live every day at noon. Well, I go twice a day, but every day at noon and do a fitness and nutrition talk. Oh, well, nice. I've tried to go live on Instagram so many times and it is not as easy. You'll get two viewers, 3 viewers. I go live on TikTok. This afternoon I went live and there was 50 something. The platform is so much bigger. The interaction is so much different on TikTok versus Instagram. And I've, gained a few clients that are doing my virtual classes now since we can't get to the gym. So I have, like Jeff said, grow my business. But I do see what you're saying with the difference between those two platforms. And I didn't realize how big TikTok could be. I thought it was like you said, where teenagers go to do their dances because we have teenage girls and that's what they do. And, my daughter tried to tell me. She's trying to tell me, Mom, no, go over there. You have to, you would be so good at whatever. And I'm like, fine. And I did. And yeah, now she's mad, but
they love it though. They like having this on there for some reason and their friends do. That's a plus. But.
I'm just going to apologize in advance real quick is that, so we're all at home, right? So home life stuff comes up and so we had our gardeners come by and say he was supposed to come trim our trees this morning and he couldn't. And so now, of course, now when I'm recording a podcast, that's when he shows up. And so
that's all right.
If you hear chainsaws in the background, that's why.
That's all right.
It's fine. It'll be a new experience. Now tell us a little bit, because here's where I get interested, because I like to do art. I don't make any money off of it. The last thing I did is on my arm now. I don't know if you've seen any of my TikToks lately, but I did one where I just 2 days ago spent 3.5 hours with a tattoo artist starting a half sleeve.
I think I saw a bit of that, but I don't think I saw. I saw maybe you were talking about it. I can't remember. I think I saw something. Yeah.
Probably talking about it, but I'm starting, and it's all my art. So he's just taking something I've done and he's putting it on me. So I do more drawing, abstract stuff, but to see the things of what blew my mind and inspired me is to see the paint cans and the hats. And I don't know if the hats are airbrush or spray paint, if you're strictly one or the other. Or I
mix it up. I mix it up quite a bit. I do a little bit. I don't do airbrush. I used to have an airbrush, but I never used it. So I sold it. And then people are telling me, oh, you should totally airbrush hats. I'm like, if only I still had it. But no, so most of my work, whether it's the, canvases, cans, hats, whatever I paint, skateboards, whatever, it's a mix of spray paint, traditional acrylic paint, and then like say paint pens or ink pens or something like that. And so the hats, to get the paint on the hat in the first place, I start with the spray paint, but yeah, so I just mix it up like that just to kind of keep it fun and keep it kind of raw. Everything I do is definitely got a raw edge to it. Like I'm not a meticulous line person by any stretch of the imagination. So it, I like almost the inaccuracy of it at times, and there's some people out there that can do some pretty wicked line work with a paint can, but I'm more about like how much splatter can I get on everything. Right.
Yeah, I love them. I love that. I mean, I need to purchase one of the hats. I love the one with the skull on it, and it has some splatter. It's really cool. But it just blows my mind, because I mean, I don't know how you do it with the can. Like now I want it, like we're fixing our back table that shattered, our outdoor table. And it shattered in the middle during a storm. It was all glass. So I got wood, and I want to paint it. And I'm like, I wanted to see if I can learn how to do this on whatever, just to start practicing. But I knew nothing about it. So I'm like, oh, you have to have different tips. And you have
to. For the spray cans?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can really, I mean, it just depends, right? And it also comes down to practice with that too, because like you can get the different tips, but if you're unfamiliar with it, the lines are not going to come out quite what you think, right? It's about proximity to the art, or to the surface, and then also like speed at which you press, right? Like and move along, right? Because you can go slower and you'll get a bigger line. You go fast and you get a tighter line. And some are fat this way and some are fat that way. It's like, forgetting that kind of like if you did like lettering, you wanted to do like a cursive or, kind of like a calligraphy type lettering there, all kinds of ways you can, experiment with that stuff. And some of them are made to just like put a big fat, blob of paint in a very short period of time.
Yeah. I love spray painting. I mean, I'm not an artist by any stretch of the imagination. I can't even really draw a stick figure properly, but there's something about, I like to take things and spray paint them. And I'm actually pretty good at, now stop laughing, Jeff. I actually am pretty good about spray painting things. And I just spray painted our bar out back, and I did a good job on the bar. But what I didn't take into account was it was a teeny bit breezy that day, and I was painting the bar red, and I came inside with a very lovely shade of pink hair.
Oh, I saw that. I did see that. I remember that video.
I did a great job on the bar, if I do say so myself, but I've learned my lesson. Even the slightest of breeze can highlight your hair.
She does all of she loves to spray paint. Like you just give her a can when it's covering something. So like the bar or the wicker, it's like she does such a good job of not getting any drips or anything. But then of course,
but to do what you do, like make the lines and draw the thing, no, I'm not good there. So I respect your art. I respect your craft very much so.
it's awesome. And then you paint as well.
Yeah. Well, and that's where it started, really. I mean, it was all canvas, right? And I was actually, the cans came about completely, I don't know. It was like, I had no anticipation of ever painting a spray can, right? It was like, I was painting my regular canvases and doing some like stuff on small pieces of paper or whatever. And I watched a YouTube video of this guy. He's an artist. He was based out of Seattle. He's now Midwest somewhere, but his name is 1000, and he does like wall murals and stuff like that. And he just was like doing this project where he was painting like 100 cans. And I'm sitting there in my studio when I'm watching this. I'm like thinking, that's genius, right? Because it's like I would just take the dead cans and throw them in the trash normally. It's like, oh, this is like the perfect upcycle, and like, so I mean, natural and meta, right? It's like this idea of like, oh well, let the thing that creates the art be the art, right? And so what's that?
I didn't see that. I don't think
I need to show you that. I don't think she's seen that, but
Oh.
That's what caught my eye at first, because that was what I saw before the hats. Was he designs paint, like he'll spray paint on paint cans, like spray paint.
Oh, how cool is that?
Yeah, it's awesome.
I didn't know that part.
Yeah. So it started to just doing abstract designs, and then I started incorporating like typography and whatnot, just to kind of do some different stuff with it. So, and people really resonated with it, and it's so unique. And I think a lot of people they're not quite sure what to think of it, because it's like not a traditional art piece by any stretch,
Yeah.
But I think number one, it comes down to, again, like your relatability to other humans, and then them understanding more about who I am, and that opens the door for them to be more receptive to new ideas in regards to the things that we make.
Yeah, that's awesome, because it is so unique. And then skateboards, canvas, just all the different kind of cool, because I think that's what you want in your house now. At least us, we would rather have something less traditional and more unique, that kind of like something like that setting up on the counter or on a shelf even. It just really kind of brings up questions when you have company over.
Right. I love it.
Yeah.
When we can have company over again.
Right. Exactly.
Well, we just had company last weekend.
Well, yeah, we did, but we don't have
you deviants, you social. No, I know. And it's like, it's always, no matter where, like other people talk about them, and they ask me about them all the time, right? Whenever I show them at different places, and they ask about them. They're real conversation starter for sure. So, and that wasn't the intention. It was just one of these things. Like, I'm always painting on something, and that was like, this thing was just there. So I was like, I'm doing it. Why not? And now it's become a situation where I paint more things than I paint canvas, or I paint on paper or whatever.
That's awesome.
That's kind of wild. Yeah, but then it's like the whole thing about it kind of matches up with TikTok. It's like you realize your creative side when you just let go and you be you, and you don't really worry about what people think.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's my struggle with art. Like, I work full time, so I can't put a lot of energy into it. So I'll sit at night and I'll draw either on my iPad or I'll paint if I can. But it's like, I have people, like I have someone now that, and I'm going to try to do it for them, but people want me to do tattoo designs, give me an idea, or they'll want a piece, and it almost scares me to do it. Does it ever take the joy out of it for you, or is the stuff you created, it seems like you do it in a way that it couldn't, because you create it organically and then you sell it rather than it being a custom piece? Or am I?
Well, so some of the hats I've been doing lately have all been custom pieces, and a couple of them have freaked me out a little bit, right? Because they're asking for things that are a little bit outside of my comfort zone, right? And not that I couldn't, handle them all, but this idea of this one customer wanted a hat with a tiger on it. Mm-hmm. And everybody goes in with a custom, and I tell them, listen, I'm going to give you, I'm going to try my best to give you what you're talking about, but you need to understand that it's going to be in my style. It's not going to be like, I'm not going to turn around and do like a fine art piece of a tiger that looks like a Japanese traditional tattoo or something like that.
Right.
It's going to be respective to my own style. But even, I don't draw tigers on a regular basis. In fact, I've never drawn a tiger in my life. And to draw one on a piece of paper is one thing, but then to draw the one and execute on a surface as unique and relatively difficult as a hat it was like, it scared me. It scared me from the first minute, like, because I was practicing on a sketchbook. I practiced. And then I was like, at some point, it's like, okay, at some point I got to jump from the sketchbook to the hat. And I got to this point and I was just like, I'm going in. It just went. And it turned out great. It never turned out really, really great. And I was really proud of that, but, so I do customs, but I definitely have to, keep that boundary of like saying like, okay, there's a limit to what I'll do. Right.
Yeah.
And but it's also, sometimes it's good to scare yourself, right? It's good to test your boundaries, test your limits so that you understand more about your art. Am I going to continue to make a bunch of pieces with tigers on them? Probably not, but I know I can, right?
Yeah.
I know I can do it. Right. And, it's just one of those things. It's like, I wouldn't have known it until I tried it. Now I've got it. So it's in the repertoire, and it makes everything else that I do on a regular basis a little bit easier.
Right.
Yeah. It's always great to stretch yourself. And that's the challenge, I guess. And the fun part in it is when you actually do stretch yourself and you see that you can create something a little different that you've never worked on before. So it's kind of cool to hear that it worked out for you.
Well, and you kind of are having that issue now because there are people approaching Jeff about designing tattoos because they see he drew one of mine, they see that he drew his, and now they're wanting. But he's comfortable doing that for himself, but to do that for someone else, because a tattoo is is obviously on you forever, and so that's kind of like a sentimental, special thing, and. I think that you're struggling with that a little bit, but you'll be, like he just said, you'll be fine once you do it, and it'll be great. But it's kind of the same thing.
I'm an overthinker. I can be an overthinker. So, and I want, if I'm going to do something for someone, I want it to be exactly what they want. So I'm not used to creating something for someone else. All my art has always been just me, and it takes me to another place. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of it. When I'm stressed, I can sit down and kind of disappear into maybe just an abstract piece where I'm just either painting, but most of the time I'm on Procreate with a brush or a pen with my iPad and my iPencil, nice, or whatever it is, Apple Pencil, and just get lost. And all of a sudden it's 2.5 hours later. But for someone to say, okay, here's what I want, and then me sit down at night after I've worked all day, and say, all right, I'm going to put this together in my off time, and it's for somebody else. It might not be as easy. Mm-hmm. I got to feel it, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, having a connection to the art is definitely important, I think. And I think that honestly, I probably, I've known other artists who've done commissions for pieces, and I think that it's one of those sticking points where if you really just got to be super clear with that person that, that like what's true to your artistic nature, right? Because if they're willing to be okay with that, like if they can be 100% hands off with it and be okay with whatever they get, right? Which is, it asks a lot of them because they're obviously putting a lot of faith in you and then the money that they're spending. But if they can do that, right, then it just alleviates more, all the stress, maybe not all the stress, but alleviates a good portion of that stress, because then it's like, okay, I can be free. Mm-hmm. But ultimately they're paying money, and we want to, like you said, you want to give them whatever they want. And there's this thing going on in your head trying to justify, what does that mean? Does it mean whatever they want? That they want whatever I want they want, or is it what they want that they told me they want, but I said I'll do it this way, but it's really not that way, right? It's these things we put in our heads sometimes. And I think that the more often that you do them, and the more often that you get acceptance after you do them,
Sure.
right? The more confidence you get in saying to other people, okay, this is just give you an example of what kind of stuff I'm doing, right? So that they're perfectly clear.
And I think that's great advice, because I really didn't look at it that way, to make sure you have that conversation up front about expectations and what my limitations would be. And I think it's easier for me. Like a buddy gave me one to do, but he gave me a picture of exactly what he wants. That's no problem.
Mm.
When somebody says, I want this, and tells me, and then I need to create it, you know what I mean? Matching up with their vision.
Because what if
what it is,
how would you deal with it? Because I know how I would deal with it, but how would you deal with it if they give you just do what you think, okay, and then you present it to them and they don't like it? That would I don't know. How would you deal with that?
I think I'd be okay with it if it's not like it's a terrible piece of art. It's just it's not what they're feeling, because I understand that it's something they want. It depends on what it is. If it's a painting, that's one thing. If it's a tattoo, that's easier to accept.
Sure.
Yeah.
But like you said, you got to kind of get that. If it's going to be something like a piece of art that they're going to purchase and you're going to spend 15 hours on, they got to be able to let you do it, I think is what Dave's saying, and accept the result.
Yeah. And I think most people who buy into that idea are open to that. I think I've found this to be true, is that the majority of people who are willing to put, to put money down on that, and you're perfectly clear with it up front, they get it right out of the gate, right? Because if they, if you ask the right questions and you find out, if you feel any kind of like apprehension, right, in the beginning, then you know that there's probably going to be a sticking point, right? So you can, you get perfectly clear with them, and then they just if they're really interested in that, they're going to be okay with it in the end. I've since doing these hats, I've never had anybody tell me they were not happy. Okay. And that's just because I was so clear from the get that, it needs to be this way. This is the only way, right? I'll do my best to represent what you're asking for, but this is what's going to happen, right? So, and everybody's been cool.
That's great.
At least to my face, they've been cool.
Well, that's all I need.
Yeah,
right.
They pay you and they're nice to your face. It's a success.
Yeah.
I guess I was going to ask you, have you always done art? Is it something that you kind of came into later in life, or has it been something that you've done all of your life?
Yeah. So I've always been relatively creative. I've always been interested in creativity, and not just in art, but I studied music as a kid, and I've always been big into writing, and these things go in cycles. I mean, I don't make music anymore, but the writing and the art, they all kind of go in cycles with me a little bit. But to be honest with you, I was intending originally out of school, I was thinking, maybe I'll go study art, whatever. And I just didn't feel motivated enough to do it. And I also, I didn't have the proper direction to point me that way. I wasn't being pointed in the right direction for it. And so I was kind of listless when I got out of, primary school. And I didn't know what I was going to do. And then I started, I went to school for, I can't remember what stirred me this direction, but I think it was maybe a college professor or an advisor told me that I should look into marketing, right? Because it's creative to some degree, right? And I was like, all right. So I started going down that route. And while I was in school, I got a job as an intern working for a marketing company, and I hated it. I hated that job so bad. Right? I hated it so much that I thought, this is my life is a joke right now. I don't like what I'm studying in school. I don't like what I'm doing in this job. I'm done. So I bailed, and I went to work as a bartender. Oh, and wow. Then, so I'm working as a bartender, and I'm spending my days hanging out in places like record stores and bookshops. And what I'm finding is I'm gravitating towards the magazine rack, and I'm buying magazines that are about art and about design and about all this creative stuff that, I couldn't really put my finger on it at the time, but I knew that there was something that I wanted to be doing with it, but I just didn't know. I didn't know what graphic design was. Mm-hmm. But, you know, through discussions and talking to other people, I finally figured it out. So I went, you know, when I finally decided, like, okay, I'm going to study this. So I went back, started taking some more art classes. Then I started taking some design classes, and I got my degree in design finally. And, you know, I'm kind of doing the Reader's Digest version here, but, you know, I got a design degree and I got a job working for a boutique design agency, and I was doing really great work and having a lot of fun. And then I got a different job working for a magazine publishing company, and still having a good time. But magazines being what they are, you know, they're a feast or famine situation. You're either working on them or you're not working on them, and it's every single month. And so when you are working on them, there's very little time for actual creativity, because you're just trying to hammer out the pages as fast as you possibly can. And at a certain point in my career there, I was thinking to myself, like, if I don't do something else other than this, like, I'm going to lose my creative edge, because I was just doing production work. And so I was like, I need to do something. So I picked up a canvas and I just started painting things, and just like, you know, you're doing, Jeff, just for fun, right? I'm just trying to have a good time with it. And then I just really enjoyed it. And that was 2007, I believe, is when that actually started. And so, you know, pulling in all this stuff that I've learned from graphic design school, and then also some of the art classes, you know, I started pulling this stuff in and just started experimenting and playing with different things. And I would do design-oriented projects for myself, and I would do art-oriented projects for myself. And it's just kind of like, you know, kind of grown and congealed and become this thing that where I'm at right now, where it's like this, like, I've got things over here and things over there, and they almost look disjointed at times, but it's just like, I just need to get all these different types of creative expression out whenever I can. So, yeah. So really, I guess the short story was like, always been creative, but really started about 2007. That's when I kicked it off into high gear.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That's cool that you got out of kind of the trap that we get stuck in, where you know that it's not what you want to do, and it's not, you know, it's not your passion or your purpose, and you stay in it for some, you know, for the bills or for whatever the reason may be. Mm-hmm. But that's pretty cool to hear that you know, were wise enough at that time to start creating.
Yeah. You know, and then at a certain point, it was, well, I remember exactly, it was 2013, and I was at my job, and I just remember thinking to myself, like, I want to go and do this thing for myself full time. And I was trying to make this plan. That was early 2013. It was about February. And I said, okay, I'm going to save a bunch of money. And so the end of the year, I'm going to go, and then we're going to do this full time, and I'm going to do it. Right. And I was getting all ready to do that. And I probably wasn't doing as well as I possibly could to be preparing, but I kept having this talk with myself of like, okay, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. Right? So then May comes around about this time, as a matter of fact, right? It was the 20th, and I got it it's clear in my head, May 20th. And I come into the office, and we find out that they had sold off the entire division that I worked in, sold it to a different company that was, you know, based in another place completely. And they essentially laid off most of the workers except for some of the editors and the salespeople. And everybody else was freaking out, right? They're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And I couldn't have been happier, because I was like, this is the greatest day of my life, because this is like, you know, sink or swim situation. Coupled with a big fat severance check. So, you know, it made for a good situation. And that was, like I said, 2013. And I've kind of been doing my own thing ever since. And, you know, like, some years are better than others, and some years are all art. Some years are more design stuff. And, you know, just make it go and keep doing it. And I have a feeling that, I mean, even despite where we're at right now with our current situation, I think 2020 is probably going to be my best year yet. So we'll see. Fingers crossed. I mean, we'll see if I can get back to, you know, getting to a situation where I can start selling in public places sometimes.
Right.
You know, hopefully, hopefully they don't kill off the entire show season. You know, but we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I'm making other plans to make sure people find me in other ways, right? I'm really building up my Facebook ad education.
Yeah, it's forcing you. And that's funny you say that, because I was kind of the same way when they first shut everything down, the gyms and such. And I kind of panicked for a second, because I do have a teeny tiny online thing going on, but my focus was, in gyms, live people. So after the shock wore off, it forced me to get creative with Zoom and with this. And actually I am growing my business now more now. So it is kind of interesting how it's unfortunate, but at the same time, like you just said, 2020 could be my best year too.
Absolutely.
Because I've already grown my online. So now I have my online kind of growing. So when I go back into the gym, I'm going to continue to keep those people and then be live as well. So I'm kind of with you on that. Like, we'll see, but I think it could be a good year.
You wouldn't have thought so a month and a half ago, or,
right.
You thought, oh no.
When we were in the panic stage of, this is, whatever. But
I like the fact that you kind of got that, if you believe in signs, it's almost like you walked into work and you were like, probably not only happy, but relieved. And on top of it, to get a severance check, you're just to kind of push you to say, if you're not jumping out of the plane, here you go.
Yeah.
You're good.
What's crazy, the most crazy thing about that day, and I just was thinking about it now, is that, so I walked into work and my buddy and I were carpooled in, and the traffic was a little bit rougher than normal. So we got there a little bit late. We got there like 9:15. There was already all hands on deck meeting scheduled at 9. And I'd gotten an email, supposedly I got an email at like 8 o'clock or 8:30 about this all hands on deck meeting, but I didn't have access to my email until I got to the office, right? So here it is, 9:15, the meeting's already happening. I get into my desk, I sit down in my cube, and I'm like, I do not want to be here today. And my copy editor, who sat right in front of me, a cube next to me, she's like kind of laughed nervously at me, but I don't think she knew anything was going on either. And so then I open the email and then see it, like all hands on deck meeting, like, oh my God, what's going on, right? So I run out to the hallway to see if I can find somebody from the team. And here's one of my fellow art director buddies, and he's got this sullen look on his face, like, oh, it's the worst thing. He's got the yellow packet, right? The manila envelope full of like stuff you need to know, like, and then my eyes got this big, like, and then my heart was like freaking out a little bit, but inside it was like going, oh my God, this is happening. This is happening right now. I can't believe it. It's almost like I manifested. I sat down at the desk and said, I don't want to be here right now. And they made it happen, right? So then all the process went through, and I'm sitting there with this big grin on my face as I'm talking to the HR person, and they're probably thinking I'm a lunatic because I'm like shaking hands. Thank you very much. Right.
Yes.
I go to the local Starbucks, which is probably like less than a mile away, and I have my laptop, and I start writing a blog post saying the color of the day is pink. And I basically say, this is it. We're going. We're jumping in. The thing that I told you I was going to do, I'm doing. Let's go. Right. So it's the best, one of the scariest days ever, but definitely one of the best days ever.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, man, I'm so glad that you took the time to come on and talk to us and tell your story. It's an amazing story. I want to hear more of it at some point.
And I want to get it. I want to get an Ange Fitco hat.
You want to get an Ange Fitco hat?
Yeah, you think you can do that?
Yeah, of course.
Custom orders.
100%.
And I'm not a picky person. Whatever you're feeling.
No, she's the one that goes and they design a tattoo for her. I draw one, and it's like I'm the one that says, "You didn't really look at it. Are you sure?"
I'm good.
She's like, "Yeah, it's great. Let's do it."
Whatever they want. Yeah.
Yeah, but thanks for coming on, and it was very nice to meet you.
Yeah, it was nice to meet you all too.
Awesome,
so thanks.
Man.
Okay, well, maybe we'll do a follow-up sometime soon.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Please do. Yeah, I'd love to.
I see the sunshine. Enjoy it.
I know, really.
Yeah. Again, it's getting right through the window, right? It's coming up.
Right.
I'm jealous. Well, have a great night.
All right, you too. Take care. Thanks, guys.
You. Thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye.
right.